Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Saratoga Racecourse here on Saturday. It is August 26, 2017. I'm going to look at all the stakes races on today's program from Saratoga, including the Travers Stakes. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. It's an excellent card of stakes racing from Saratoga. Going to look at all the stakes races 6 through 12. So let's get on to it, starting off with the sixth race from the Spa. The sixth race, it's the 70th running of the Personal Ensign Stakes, grade 1 per $700,000. It's for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds, and upwards. Field of 5 horses, going the distance of ground here of 1,800 meters, or 1 mile and 1/8 on the main track. 1,800 meters, a mile and an eighth. My top pick in this one, I like the number 2 horse here, Songbird. I'm going to go 2, 4, 3, 5 in the superfecta. 2, 4, 3, 5 super. My top pick, number 2, Songbird, 2 to 5. Mike Smith coming in from California to ride this California Invader. This horse, she's run well in her career, but this year her 2 starts, she's won, but they weren't there were probably her 2 worst races, I want to say. Most recently in Delaware Handicap, which I want to say is probably her worst race. She won by a length that day, but didn't show that really good, closing kick that you're used to with this horse that day. She didn't have the kick, but she won that day because it was a subpar field. But the closers were coming to her. The second place finish was coming, before that in the Ogden Phipps at Belmont, mile 16th on Belmont Day. Horse won by length, almost on the lead all throughout again, but she had to be asked quite a few times that day, and it wasn't the races she ran as a 3-year-old where Mike Smith didn't really have to give the horse the whip at all. Before that, in the British Cup Distaff, which I think this might have been her best race because she showed so much heart that day. The British Cup Distaff at Santa Anita, mile 8th, November the 4th. This horse finished second by nose after setting the pace most of the race. Beholder, the very good mare, got her right in the final stride of the race, but this horse showed some heart fighting back that day. Wasn't a half bad run. Even I have to say that was probably her best run of her life, I have to say. Before that, this horse won the Cotillion, won the Alabama here at Saratoga, and won the Coaching Cup here at Saratoga last year. She's a very nice horse. She's the only speed in this race, and I think she'll run a very big one. So she's a single in any multi-race wager for me. So to recap my bets for the 6th from Saratoga, it's the grade 1 70th running of the Personal Ensign. I'm going to go with the 2 horse Songbird. Going to go 2, 4, 3, 5 in the superfecta. To race number 7 now. From Saratoga, the 7th race, it's the 39th running of the Kettle 1 Ballerina. Grade 1 purse $500,000. It's for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds, and upwards. Field of 7 horses going the distance of ground here of 1,400 meters, or 7 furlongs on the main track. 1,400 meters, 7 furlongs. Top pick in this one, I like the number 4 horse, number 4 By the Moon. I'm going to go 4-3-2-5 in the superfecta. 4-3-2-5 super. Top pick number 4 By the Moon, Rajiv Marag from Michelle Nevin, who trains his 5-year-old mare out of Indian Charlie. So this horse has some pedigree in her to go sprinting. Most recently, though, on the 26th of July at Saratoga, 6 furlongs in the Grade 2 Honorable Miss Handicap. Horse finished third by 3/4 of a length that day. This is the prep race for this race here at Saratoga. And, even though it was a field of 5 horses, it had, it was the quality of the 5 horses in it. Paula Silverlining, who won that day, is a very nice horse for Chad Round, formerly from Michelle Nevin also, who's won her last 4 and was running back in this one. She ran a hell of a race that day. Finley's Lucky Charm is a very nice Kentucky female sprinter or mare sprinter, whatever. And then By the Moon, this horse ran a decent 3rd place finish, and she's run some very nice races in the past. But, this horse finished third by 3/4 length that day, was very wide that day, and it just couldn't, she closed up a little bit at the end. But I think with a little more saving ground today, I think this horse will run a little bit better. Start before in Better Roses 6 weeks earlier at Belmont, 7 furlongs June the 9th. Horse won by 3/4 of a length that day. Wide post draw. This horse was a little bit wide that day, but closed up well in the end. Great race as the favorite. She was the best horse by a mile, improved in, and just had a great win that day. And then the Vargancy at Belmont, 6.5 furlongs on the slop on May the 5th. Horse won by 3/4 of a length that day, or excuse me, 1 3/4 lengths that day at 2-1, beating the West Coast Invader Pretty and Cool, who I believe was the second choice at 5-2. But this horse again was a little bit wide that day, but got the lead at the quarter pole and took off clear. Very easy victory for this horse that day. Was her first start since the Barbara Fitzgerald on the 18th of February at Laurel, going 7 furlongs. Again, this horse finished second by a neck. Actually had to lead in the straightaway and got caught right before the wire. Disappointing beat, but she ran her heart out that day. But this horse ran this race last year, finishing second by half length at 12-1. I think actually, she's coming to this race a little bit better this year, with a start right before the race. And with that start before the race, I think she's going to be very fresh, and I think she'll run a very big one. So watch out for her to run a big one here today. So to recap my bets for the 7th from Saratoga, it's the 39th running of the Kettle 1 Grade 1 Ballerina. Gonna go with the number 4 horse here, By the Moon. I'm gonna go 4-3-2-5 in the superfecta. It's race number 8 now from Saratoga here on Travers Day. The 8th race, it's the 33rd running of the H. Allen Jerkens Stakes, formerly known as the King's Bishop Stakes. Grade 1 purse $500,000. It's for 3-year-olds here. Field of 9 horses going the distance of ground of 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs on the main track. And I always show the diagram. It just gives me a second to look down at my notes, so just bear with me. I always get a person comment, "Oh, why do you show that?" It's because I'm looking down at my notes and I can't concentrate on 2 things at once. I can, but it's just a little bit easier doing that. But my top pick in this one, in a field of 9 horses, I like the number 9 horse here, American Anthem. I'm going to go 9-1-7-3 in the superfecta, 9-1-7-3 super. My top pick, number 9, American Anthem, 2-1, Mike Smith for Bob Baffert, who trains the 3-year-old colt out of Bodemeister. Most recently, on the 10th of June, Belmont Stakes Day at Belmont Park. 7 furlongs in the Grade 2 Woody Stevens. This horse won by 3/4 of a length, at 3 1/4 lengths that day. It was just under 2-1 favorite that day. It was a little bit wide after sitting back early, but closed up well in the top of the lane and had a going away easy victory that day. Great race. A little bit of a layoff. I don't think the race should be a problem today, and I think you're going to see a very fresh horse run. Bob Baffert and Mike Smith have teamed up to win this race last year. They won this race with DeFrong, who's running in the next race in the Forego, but DeFrong won this race last year, and then off the layoff went on to win the Breeze Cup Sprint very nicely. So maybe they could do the same thing this year with this horse. We'll see. I don't know if this horse is really good enough to win the Breeze Cup Sprint yet, because I think the distance is actually a little bit too short, but I think this horse will be a better miler. But 7 furlongs this horse should definitely get. Start before, though, Santa Anita, 7 furlongs in the Las Barrera Grade 3 event. Horse won by 1 3/4 lengths that day. Again, this horse sat back early but got the lead in the stretch and took off clear. A very nice victory for this horse. Major improvement off his start before in the Santa Anita Derby, where this horse finished 12th. Was with the leaders early on, setting the pace and then actually dueling a little bit, but then really hit the wall in the straightaway. It wasn't his day to win. Before that, in the Rebel, was just under the 2-1 favorite and did not do anything. Finished 10th that day, but finished second in the Sham earlier this year at Santa Anita behind Gormley, and broke his maiden at Del Mar very nicely, going 6 furlongs. The 7 furlong distance is right for this horse. Like I said, if we want to look to the future, 6 furlongs I think is a little bit too short, but 7 furlongs is the right one for this horse, and I think he'll run a big one, 2-1 here. If you're going to play the pick 4, which is the $1 million guarantee, I have a feeling you should single the 9 horse American Anthem. That's what I would say. So to recap my bets for the 8th from Saratoga, it's the 33rd running of the H. Allen Jerkens Stakes, formerly known as the King's Bishop. Gonna go with the 9 horse American Anthem. I'm gonna go 9-1-7-3 in the superfecta. It's race number 9 now from Saratoga, the 9th race. It's the 38th running of the Forego, Grade 1 purse $600,000. It's for 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 10 horses going the distance of ground here of 1,400 meters, or again 7 furlongs on the main track. and there's a shit ton of speed in this race. I could tell you that for sure right now. My top pick, and I'm going to use the European horse here, Ross, because I think he has the perfect running style to win this race. If he could handle the dirt kickback, which he handled well and made on, I think I'll run a big one. So my top pick, the European Invader, number 2, Ross. I'm gonna go 210. 6-7 in the superfecta, 210 6-7 super. Now to the pick 4, I'll use the 2 horse. I'll use the 10 horse. And I'll probably go 4 deep in this one because I'm singling the first leg with American Anthem. So I'll be singling a little later on also. But 210 6-7 in the superfecta, 210 6-7 in my pick 4 also. But my top pick, number 2, Ross. Andre Starkey coming in from Germany to ride this Irish bred 5-year-old horse out of Acclamation. Peter Schragen trained this one at 15-1 here. Most recently, though, on the 4th of August, earlier this month, out the layoff at Deauville in France, 6.5 furlongs, 1,300 meters in the Prix Mill Stakes. Just a basic allowance race. Wide post draw, heavyweight did not affect his horse that day. He won by 2 lengths, quickened up nicely, had a very easy victory on that right-handed course that day. Coming here, getting the 7 furlongs shouldn't be a problem because this horse ran on the dirt in the UAE at Meydan and ran pretty well. Start before March 25th, Dubai World Cup night at Meydan. Muddy going, 1,600 meters or a mile in the Godolphin Mile. Horse finished second by a neck. Broke basically from the parking lot that day. This horse, it didn't affect this horse that day. He quickened up nicely, just missed the victory, but finishing second. But wasn't a half bad run for this horse. Just missed. Start before in the Bergenhar, the local prep for the Godolphin Mile on March 4th at Meydan. Horse finished second by 6.5 lengths. Again, closed up from the back of the pack, running very well with a speedy pace in front of him. He was second best that day for sure. And then the watch time, just basic handicap at Meydan, 7 furlongs, February the 16th. Horse finished second by 1.5 length. He closed up well at the end. I don't think you'll see this horse last, but I think you'll see him mid-pack, and with a fast pace in front of him, if there's a major pace meltdown, I think you could see this horse closing up to a very, coming at the end. So watch out for this horse to upset here today at the odds of 15-1. So to recap my bets for the 9th from Saratoga, it's the 38th running of the Grade 1 Forego. Going to go with the 2 horse Ross. I'm going to go 210 6-7 in the superfecta. To race number 10 now from Saratoga. 10th race is the 43rd running of the Sword Dancer, Grade 1 purse, $1 million. It's for 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 7 horses going the distance of ground here of 2,400 meters or 1 mile and 1/2 on the main track. 2,400 meters, a mile and a half. On the inner turf. Now, what did I say? Main track? I meant inner turf. If I said main track, but it's on the inner turf here. My top pick in this one, I like the number 7 horse Idaho, and I would single this horse in the multi race. He's Flincher won this race and should have won it the last 2 years very nicely, and I think you're going to see another horse like Flincher run here, and that's going to be the 7 horse Idaho. So single for me, number 7 Idaho. I'm going to go 7-6-3-5 in the superfecta, 7-6-3-5 super, but my single in the multi-race, pick 4, number 7 Idaho, 2-1. Very interesting to have Ryan Moore come over this time of year to ride in America, because you have the Emore meeting in at York this weekend. You have some very nice races on Saturday evening, and in the UK at Windsor, some major prep races for the Breeders' Cup Turf. But Ryan Moore decided, and you have races at Deauville in France on Sunday. But Ryan Moore decided to come to America to ride this horse, and if he's come to America to ride this time of year, it means he's going to win. So just keep that in mind. But this 4-year-old colt at Galileo, he's been placing some very tough group races recently. Most recently on the 29th of July at Ascot, a mile and a half in the King George Queen Elizabeth Stakes. This horse finished third by 5 1/4 lengths that day. Had a wide post draw that day. She just sat off the pace, and he didn't get the good quickening quickening up space that day that you usually see it with this horse. Enable, who won that day on that wet ground, ran a hell of a race, beating the boys with low weight. Ulysses won, who finished second, won next start out earlier this week at York in the Ebor meeting, and actually in the Jedmont International, and the winner Enable won next start out at York in the Ebor meeting this week also. So all these horses have come back to win. Let's make it a third Idaho to come back to win next start out, but you just couldn't get the quickening up that day on the soft ground. Getting a firm ground, which this horse really likes today. I think he'll run a big one. Start before on firm ground at Royal Ascot, the 24th of June in the Hardwick Stakes. Horse won by half length that day. This horse, he just sat off the pace that day, got the lead, and took off clear. Had a very easy victory that day. It doesn't get any easier than that. It was just an all-around great race. And then the Coronation Cup at Epsom on Derby weekend. This horse finished sixth that day by 7 1/4 lengths. Highland Real, another Brian Coolmore horse, just ran a little bit better. This horse just didn't quicken up on that good ground, but it was really more good to soft, actually, if you really wanted the official rating. And plus, off the layoff, the horse might needed the race. But, this horse has run well so in his career. He's stepping down class to this spot. I think this horse will run a big one, so he'll be my top pick. And like I said, a single in this race for me. So to recap my bets for the 10th from Saratoga, it's the 43rd running, the Grade 1 Sword Dancer. I'm going to go with the 7-horse Idaho. I'm going to go 7, 6, 3, 5 in the superfecta, single the 7-horse Idaho in my multi-race pick 4 wager. To race number 11 now, the featured of the meet from Saratoga, the featured of the day. It's the 148th running of the Travers, presented by Naira Bets. Grade 1 purse, $1.25 million. It's for 3-year-olds here. A dozen 3-year-olds are going the distance of ground here of 2,000 meters, or 1 mile and 1/4 on the main track here in the Midsummer Derby. Mile and a quarter. 2,000 meters. My top pick in this one, I like the number 3 horse West Coast. I'm gonna go 3-1-7-5 in the superfecta, 3-1-7-5 super. Now to the multi-race pick 4, which ends off with this race. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna use the 3-horse West Coast. I'm gonna use cloud computing, and I'll probably go 4 deep to tell you the truth in this race because I'm using a cheap ticket. Maybe I have one of these horses underneath, or could give me a little bit of price to make some money. So I'll use all 4 horses here. It's gonna be a very cheap ticket, probably about $8, I think, which is very affordable for pick 4. But I'll go 3-1-7-5 in the pick 4 also. But my top pick, number 3, West Coast, 4-1, Mike Smith for Bob Baffert. This horse most recently on the 15th of July ran out Los Al, mile and eighth in the Los Al Derby. Horse won by 2 3/4 lengths that day. Got Drain Van Dyke for the first time up that day. Was 40 cents a dollar. This horse sat back early but closed up well at the end and had an all-around great race. It doesn't get any easier than that. With that being said, it was against lesser quality horses, but he ran incredibly well. Start before. You have to do this. You had to start. He had to come up to me when I started doing the Travers, but start before, as we're going to move him. Normally, if this would happen at the beginning of a video, I would just start over, but I'm already up to the Travers, and I've been speaking 17 minutes. I'm not starting over. But start before for West Coast. Start before for West Coast at Belmont, mile 16th in the Easy Goer. This horse won by 3 3/4 lengths that day. And again, great ride by Mike Smith that day. Sat back early, but got the lead in the stretch run, and then took off clear. Very nice race for this horse. Could have won by a little bit more, but Mike Smith was gearing this horse down a little bit late. But a great race for this horse. Before that, an option 40 Claymore Santa Anita, mile 16th, May the 20th. Horse won by 3/4 length. If there was a surefire horse to win in the month of May, it was probably going to be this horse. And he was 30 cents a dollar and won for fun, basically. Again, could have won by more, but it was geared down late. And then had a decent second place finish in Lexington earlier this year after a troubled trip. But the mile and a quarter shouldn't be a problem. You want a little bit. You want a horse that can sit a little bit closer to the front, to going a mile and a quarter here at Saratoga, and this is the kind of horse that you want to see run. And I think he'll run a big one, so watch out for him. So to recap my bets for the 11th from Saratoga, it's the 148th running of the Travers. Gonna go with the 3-horse West Coast. Gonna go 3-1-7-5 in the superfecta. To race number 12 now, the final stakes race on the program from Saratoga. The 12th race is 29th running of the Ballston Spa Stakes, Grade 2, purse $400,000. It's for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 6 horses going the distance of ground here of 1,700 meters, or a mile and 1/16th on the Mellon Turf Course. 1,700 meters, a mile 16th. And my top pick and a single for me in the multi-race wager, I'm going to go to the one-horse Lady Eli. I'm going to go 1-5-2-3 in the superfecta, though. 1-5-2-3 super, but my top pick, number 1, Lady Eli. 4-5, Ira Ortiz Jr. for Chad Brown, who trains his 5-year-old mare out of Divine Park. Most recently on the 22nd of July at Saratoga, mile and the 8th into Diana. This horse won by a head that day, but before the race, this horse broke through the gate, didn't break that well, was far out of it, but had a great turn of foot at the end. It was an all-around great race for this horse that day after the fact of whatever happened before the top of the lane. Coming here, hopefully she breaks a little bit better and doesn't be so raucous in the gate. And if she's all 100%, I think she'll run the race for her life. But before then, the Gamely at Santa Anita on the 8th May the 27th. Horse won by half length that day. Shipping in from California, this horse sat back early but closed up well, getting the lead and took off clear. Very nice victory for this horse. Major improvement off her start before in the Jenny Wiley, where this horse closed up from last, finished second by head, but didn't have the best trips that day either. But it was an okay race, and then finished second in the Bruce Cup Filly Mare Turf at Santa Anita last year behind Queen's Trust. Horse closed up well from the end. Couldn't get the nose in front. Queen's Trust with Frankie Dettori just ran a little bit better that day. But before that, won the Flower Ball and finished second in this race last year off a very long layoff. I think this horse will run a very big one here today, so watch out for her. So to recap my bets for the 12th from Saratoga, it's the 29th running of the Ballston Spa. Gonna go with the one horse Lady Eli, multi-race single for me in the multi-race wagers. I'm gonna go 1-5-2-3 in the superfecta. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everyone.